My girlfriend texted me at 3:47 a.m. I have the best news. I'm pregnant. I stare at the screen, completely calm because there was one small problem. I've been medically infertile since I was 19. People always imagine betrayal comes with screaming or shaking hands. Not for me. I was sitting in a plywood hut in Kuwait, watching confetti fall across a message that couldn't possibly be true. 7 months deployed. 0 trips home. 0 chance that child was mine. And somehow, the silence that followed was louder than any explosion I'd heard overseas. What hit me hardest wasn't the pregnancy. It was realizing how perfectly everything suddenly made sense. The late night work calls, the broken camera, the sudden expenses draining my account. Every red flag I'd ignored lined up in one brutal, honest row. That text didn't break me. It woke me up. My girlfriend texted me. I have the best news. I'm pregnant. And the only thing I felt in that moment was clarity, because I've been medically infertile since I was 19. People always assume news like that hits you like a truck. They expect shock, denial, maybe even hope. But when you've lived with a diagnosis that rewires your future, you don't get the luxury of confusion. I knew exactly who I was, exactly what my body could and couldn't do, and exactly what that message meant the second I read it. My name is Marcus. I'm 26, a staff sergeant in the Army, and at the time of that text, I was 7 months into a deployment in Kuwait. No trips home, no leave, no chance, literally 0 chance, that child was mine. Testicular cancer at 19 took that choice from me. 3 rounds of chemo sealed it forever. For different specialists confirmed the same thing. No sperm count, no recovery, no biological children. I made peace with that years ago. I learned to live with it. And when I started dating Rachel, I told her the truth right away. She cried when I said it. I remember the way she reached across the table and squeezed my hand like she was trying to anchor me in place. She said it didn't matter, said she loved me for who I was, not what I could give her genetically. She even joked that adoption would make us a modern family with a cooler story to tell. I believed her. I wanted to. And for a while, loving her felt easy enough to make up for everything my body couldn't do. We met at a friend's barbecue. One of those late summer evenings when everyone's drinking cheap beer and pretending adulthood isn't exhausting. She was magnetic. Loud laugh, green eyes, the kind of person everyone gravitates toward because she fills the room like she's carrying sunlight in her pocket. She asked for my number before I worked up the courage to ask for hers. I thought that was confidence. In hindsight, maybe it was something else entirely. We fell hard and fast. Within 6 months, we moved in together. Small apartment, cheap furniture, too many decorative pillows that I didn't understand but pretended to appreciate. She handled the aesthetics, I handled the bills. It felt like a partnership. And as someone who survived cancer, confronted death earlier than most people my age, I valued stability. Predictability. She valued being taken care of. It worked, or I thought it did. When the deployment orders came, she cried for 3 days straight, told me she couldn't sleep without me, begged me to call as often as I could, promised she'd wait, promised we'd get married when I came home. And I did everything she asked. I paid the rent. I covered the car insurance, the phone bill, emergencies. I even added her to my bank account so she wouldn't struggle while I was gone. I gave her trust the way some people give gifts, freely, without holding anything back. At first, the distance didn't feel that bad. We'd talk for an hour, sometimes 2. She'd send photos of the apartment, updates about work, little jokes about missing my terrible coffee. It felt like we were surviving. The distance together. Then something shifted. The calls got shorter and shorter. Work ran late. I'm exhausted. My mom needs something. I have an early shift tomorrow. Or the classic, sorry, my phone's dying. I'll charge it later. Video calls turned into voice calls. Then voice calls turned into texts. Then texts turned into silence. The first time she canceled our weekly video chat because her camera suddenly stopped working, I shrugged it off. The second time, I made a joke about her needing a new phone. By the 3rd week, I felt a flicker of unease, but I drowned it in excuses. I'd rather believe she was stressed than admit something deeper was going wrong. That's the thing about people like me, the ones who've survived heavy things. We hate imagining that our personal life could hurt us more than the worst chemo session we ever endured. Around month 3, a new name started slipping into her conversations. Jordan. Jordan from work. Jordan who offered her rides. Jordan who brought her soup when she was sick. Jordan who felt like a brother. I wasn't jealous. Not at first. I've never been the insecure type. But the repetition bothered me. The casual mentions. The way she said his name like she wanted me to think it was normal. One day, she sent me a photo of her lunch setup. Cute little glass of iced tea, salad, a candle she definitely lit just for the aesthetic. In the corner of the picture, barely in frame, was a man's jacket draped over a chair. Not mine. Not her dad's. I caught it instantly. She brushed it off, said the weather got cold, and Jordan lent her his jacket. So it wasn't a big deal. And like an idiot, I let that explanation soothe me. I told myself she was honest. She cried when I told her about my infertility, for God's sake. Why would she lie about a jacket? If you're listening and shaking your head right now, trust me, I'm shaking mine with you. Hindsight is always perfect, brutally perfect. At the time, though, I kept telling myself the same lie. She loves me. She's just stressed. This is normal. And maybe I would have kept believing it. Maybe I would have swallowed every uncomfortable feeling and blamed it on distance if I hadn't checked her call history. I thought I was imagining things. I truly did. But the night I opened that log and saw the pattern, the late-night numbers, the hours-long calls, the repetition, I realized something with a coldness I still remember vividly. This wasn't a feeling. This wasn't insecurity. This wasn't distance. This was evidence. And from that moment on, nothing in our relationship felt the same again. The night I opened Rachel's call history, I wasn't hunting for proof. I wasn't even suspicious in a dramatic way. I just had a quiet feeling. One of those instincts you ignore until it stops whispering and starts tugging at your throat. I checked the log because her phone was still under my plan. I paid the bill, I set up the account, and somewhere along the way I convinced myself that equals trust. What I saw wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't a glitch. It wasn't something I could rationalize or soften. There were hundreds of calls to the same number. Long ones, midnight ones, hours-long ones, 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes 4. Nearly every night, I wasn't scheduled to call. Jordan, the like-a-brother co-worker, the guy with the jacket in the photo, the one who just so happened to be available whenever I wasn't. My first reaction wasn't anger. It wasn't heartbreak. It was something colder, like my brain was flipping a switch from feel to analyze. A kind of emotional shutdown designed for survival. I'd felt it before, during chemo, sitting in a hospital gown with a doctor explaining percentages and risks in a voice that didn't match the gravity of what he was saying. That same cold clarity wrapped around me all over again. Instead of confronting her, I opened my banking app. If I was already facing one truth, I wanted the full picture. And there it was. My savings balance was a shallow puddle of what it used to be. New charges everywhere. Restaurant bills I didn't recognize. Victoria's Secret. A spa weekend. Perfume. And then the one that hit me harder than any of the rest. A hotel. The Marriott downtown. One night in March. The same weekend she said she was too sick to talk and went silent for 2 days. All paid for with money I earned while living on rations and sand. And still, I didn't call her. I didn't yell. I didn't demand answers. I changed my passwords. I transferred what was left out of the shared account. I removed her access, opened a new account, rerouted my direct deposit. All quietly, all calmly. If betrayal is a fire, mine wasn't a sudden blaze. It was a slow, steady burn that left nothing untouched. 3 weeks later, she sent the pregnancy text, the same cheerful confetti-filled message I told you about earlier. At that point, I already knew everything. The calls, the hotel, the money, the lies. All of it sat neatly in a digital trail she probably thought I'd never examine. When she sent that message, "I'm pregnant," I didn't react with devastation. I reacted with math, biology, facts. The same facts she cried over when I first told her. So I typed back, "I have news too. I'm infertile. I've been since I was 19. The 3 little dots appeared, then disappeared. Appeared again. Disappeared. Then nothing. For 6 straight hours. When she finally called, I picked up on the fourth ring. I wasn't afraid of her explanation. I was curious which version of the truth she tried to sell me. Her voice came through in broken sobs. Marcus, please. Doctors can be wrong. Miracles happen. Google it. Maybe your count recovered. I let her finish her performance before I spoke. Rachel, I was retested before deployment. Azoospermia. 0 sperm. Not low. 0. I know the doctor. I know the diagnosis. And I know that child isn't mine. Silence. Not the guilty kind, more like the calculating kind. The sound of her scrambling for the next excuse. So I asked the question she wasn't ready for. Who is Jordan? Dead quiet. Then her breathing changed. Crying vanished, replaced by something colder. A voice I didn't recognize. You were gone, she snapped. Jordan was here. What did you expect me to do? Be lonely forever? You can't even give me a child. You know how sometimes one sentence can tell you everything you missed? That was the sentence. Not, I'm sorry. Not, it was a mistake. Not, I made a terrible choice. Just blame. Just entitlement. Just the truth. She'd been holding back. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I didn't beg her to see what she'd done. I simply said, "Good luck, Rachel," and hung up. That's when the panic started. Real panic. Not about losing me, but about losing the lifestyle I provided. The money, the stability, the invisible safety net she'd mistaken for a guarantee. She called again and again. Marcus, you can't cut me off. I'm pregnant. You have to help me. I need support. I kept my answers short, calm, and final. Call Jordan. She didn't want Jordan. She wanted my bank account. She wanted my reliability. She wanted me to remain the quiet, predictable provider while she built a whole other life behind my back. But what she wanted stopped matching the moment she weaponized my infertility against me. A week later, I heard from her mother, an invitation to Rachel's baby shower. Pink balloons, a cake, 30 guests, the whole elaborate celebration. And my name was printed on the invitations as the father. Rachel had told her entire family that this miracle baby was mine. I realized something then. If I stayed silent, the people who had welcomed me into their lives, the people who sent me care packages, prayed for my safety, called me family, would be publicly celebrating a lie that humiliated not just me, but them. They deserved the truth more than she deserved protection. So I did something I never thought I'd have to do. I requested emergency leave, not to fight, not to confront her in anger, but to bring the truth home, quietly, calmly, with paperwork to back up every word. She wanted a party to celebrate a miracle. I decided to bring something else entirely. The truth, with receipts. The morning I asked my commanding officer for emergency leave, I expected questions, maybe even pushback. Instead, he watched me for a long moment, like he could see the storm behind my calm expression. I told him the truth in one clean sentence. Sir, my girlfriend is pregnant, and it's not mine. He didn't ask for gossip or details. He just nodded slowly, the kind of nod men give when they've lived long enough to recognize quiet devastation. Handle what you need to handle, Sergeant, he said. You've earned the time. There was pity in his voice, but respect too. 48 hours later, I was back in the States. I didn't go home first. I didn't even stop for real food. I drove straight to my reproductive specialist's office. He knew why I was there before I said a word. When I explained everything, he sighed, pulled up my file, and printed a formal statement. Azoospermia. Permanent. 0 chance of biological conception. Signed, stamped, dated. Clinical truth on official letterhead. Next stop, the bank. The manager printed every questionable transaction. Hotels, lingerie, restaurants, a spa day that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Then the phone provider, full call logs, every late-night conversation with Jordan highlighted in disgustingly neat rows. Then the printing shop, screenshots, text messages, timelines, everything organized into a folder thick enough to slap a table with weight. I wasn't building revenge. I was building clarity. For me, for her family, for anyone who deserved the truth. By the time I drove to Rachel's parents' house, I felt almost detached, like I'd stepped outside my own life and was watching it play out with someone else in the main role. Their house was decorated for the baby shower. Pink balloons everywhere. A welcome baby girl banner with my last name printed in glittery letters. A cake box on the counter. Wrapped gifts stacked in corners. It should have been heartwarming. Instead, it felt like walking into a lie wearing a party dress. Her mother saw me first. She screamed my name and threw her arms around me, crying happy tears. Her dad shook my hand so hard I felt my bones grind. And her little sister practically tackled me with excitement. They thought I was the surprise. They thought I came home early to make the party even more special. They thought their daughter was carrying my miracle child. I smiled just enough to not raise questions, but not enough to feel dishonest. My stomach twisted, not from nerves, but from guilt. They didn't deserve the humiliation Rachel had prepared for them. When the greetings settled, I said, "Can we talk privately? Just the three of us." Her mother's smile faltered. Her father's brow furrowed. But they led me to the living room. I didn't build up to anything. I didn't soften it. I just spoke the truth. I had cancer when I was 19. I began. The treatment left me infertile. Permanently. Rachel has known since our second date. Confusion. Then disbelief. Then her father whispered, "But," she said, "you two had been trying before deployment." I handed them the doctor's letter. Her mother read it once, then again, slower. Her father clenched his jaw so hard I could hear his teeth grind. Next, I laid out the call logs. Then the bank statements. Then the hotel record. Each piece of evidence hitting the coffee table like another crack in their trust. Her mother shook her head over and over. Her father's face shifted from shock to anger to something like shame. "She let us plan all this," her mother whispered. "She let us invite everyone. She lied to our faces." Before I could respond, the front door opened. Rachel walked in, humming, carrying grocery bags. She froze the second she saw me. One of the bags slipped from her hand. Something inside shattered. Milk spread across the floor. "Marcus?" she whispered. Her mother stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor. "Who is Jordan, Rachel?" Her face drained of color. She looked at me like I had betrayed her. "Mom, it's not what you think. He's just a friend." Her father slammed the call logs onto the coffee table. 147 calls? 2 hours long? At midnight? "Rachel, how stupid do you think we are?" She turned frantic, defensive, crying on command. "He's controlling. You don't understand. Marcus monitors everything. He twists things. That was my cue. Not to fight, not to defend myself, just to stop the show." I spoke softly, almost conversationally. "Rachel, you told me loyalty doesn't keep you warm at night. You told me you deserved a baby. You told me I couldn't give you one." Her parents whipped their heads toward her. The panic in her eyes was instant. She knew exactly when she'd said those things. She tried to pivot. I was overwhelmed. "I didn't mean." I cut her off gently. "You don't have to mean the truth for it to be true." Then I took a breath, the kind you take before closing a chapter. "I'm ending this, Rachel. The baby isn't mine. I've changed the locks. I've removed you from every account. I won't be supporting you financially. You'll need to move your things out by the end of the month." She sobbed harder, reaching for me. "Marcus, please, don't do this. Don't embarrass me." I shook my head. "I didn't come here to humiliate you. I came so your parents wouldn't be humiliated in front of 30 guests celebrating a lie." Her mother broke into tears. Her father sat down heavily, staring at the floor. Rachel collapsed against the wall, crying so loud it echoed. I didn't stay to comfort anyone. That wasn't my role anymore. I walked past the balloons, the gifts, the cake with the baby girl's name next to my last name. I walked past the life Rachel invented and tried to force me into. And as I stepped outside, I felt something I hadn't felt since the day I got my diagnosis at 19. A strange, quiet freedom. I didn't slam the door. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I came there to deliver the truth. And I did. The rest, whatever shape it took, belonged to them now, not me. I walked away carrying only what I came with, clarity. Everything else stayed behind, exactly where it belonged. When I stepped out of Rachel's parents' house, I thought the hardest part was over. I had no idea the real fallout was just beginning, and none of it would come from me. I didn't have to expose her at the baby shower. She did that to herself the moment she built her lies on top of people who loved her. Her mother canceled the party within an hour. She called every guest personally, voice cracking as she explained why the celebration they'd been preparing for weeks wasn't happening. By that evening, the news had spread through the entire family. Some were sympathetic at first, until they heard the full story. The affair, the money, the months of lies, the made-up miracle. Her grandmother, who had mailed me cookies overseas and prayed for my safety every Sunday, refused to speak to her. Aunts and uncles blocked her number. Cousins stopped responding. The humiliation she feared, she walked straight into it on her own. And Jordan, the man she risked everything for, he vanished the moment Rachel told him her family knew. According to her sister, his exact words were, "This wasn't supposed to be serious." He refused to sign the birth certificate until she threatened legal action. When the paternity test came back positive, he started paying child support bare minimum on the dot, no extra help, no emotional involvement. He wasn't interested in being a partner or a father. He just wanted distance. Rachel ended up moving into a cheap weekly rental on the edge of town, a far cry from our apartment, the one she decorated with plants and string lights, the one she used to call her safe place. She picked up extra shifts at work, juggling bills she once offloaded onto me without a second thought. For the first time, she was living a life she had to earn, not one she expected someone else to fund. Meanwhile, I returned to deployment, and honestly, it felt like stepping into clarity. My unit welcomed me back without questions. My CO treated me with a kind of quiet respect that only men who've seen life's darker corners can give. I focused on my job. I poured myself into my responsibilities, and I realized something surprising. Pain doesn't always break you. Sometimes it sharpens you. A few months later, I got promoted. Sergeant First Class. My CO even put me in for a commendation based on my performance during deployment. Life didn't stall because Rachel betrayed me. Life moved forward, and for the first time in a long time, it felt like mine again. But healing isn't automatic. It's not a switch you flip when the truth comes out. A betrayal like that sticks to you. It lingers in the quiet moments. So when I returned home at the end of my deployment, I started therapy. I needed to understand why the betrayal hit so deeply, why I felt not just hurt, but stupid for trusting someone so completely. In one of our early sessions, my therapist said something that stayed with me. "You're not angry because she lied. You're angry because you were honest." And she was right. I had given Rachel my truth, my biggest insecurity, my deepest wound, the thing I once thought made me less of a man. I handed it to her, trusting she'd hold it gently. Instead, she weaponized it. But over time, therapy helped me let go of that shame. I stopped blaming myself for loving the wrong person. I stopped replaying the red flags I ignored. I stopped wondering what I could have done differently. I learned that trusting the wrong person doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. A year passed. Rachel's daughter turned 1. I didn't attend. I didn't send a gift. I didn't ask questions. But her little sister, who still texts me sometimes, sent a picture. "Just thought you should know," she wrote. "She looks exactly like Jordan." It's almost funny, and she was right. The resemblance was undeniable. Everyone could see it except the one person who refused to face the truth. Rachel still told people the father isn't in the picture, like she wasn't the one who burned the bridge, and lit the match twice. Her family, though, her parents, her sister, even her grandmother, they kept in touch. Not out of pity, but out of genuine care. They apologized more times than I ever needed them to. They sent me Christmas cards, birthday messages, updates on their lives. They told me I'd always have a place in their home. And in some strange way, their loyalty became one of the few good things to come out of the whole mess. As for me, I haven't rushed into dating. I'm not bitter. I'm not closed off. I'm just cautious in a way I wasn't before. And honestly, that feels healthy. Peace isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just the quiet understanding that you survived something that could have broken you, and you're better for it. If there's one thing this entire experience taught me, it's this: silence is not weakness. Distance is not surrender. Walking away is sometimes the loudest answer you can give. I didn't destroy Rachel's life. I didn't expose her publicly. I didn't scream or post or retaliate. I simply stepped out of the story she tried to trap me in. The consequences she faced were born entirely from her own choices. I just stopped cushioning the fall. So here's the lesson I'd offer anyone listening. Don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Don't bankroll someone who drains you emotionally, financially, or mentally. And never let a person convince you that your boundaries make you cruel. They make you safe. The truth doesn't need you to shout it. It doesn't need revenge or performance. Sometimes you just have to step back and let it speak for itself. And now I'll leave you with this. If someone texted you, "I'm pregnant," knowing for a fact you couldn't be the father, what would you say back? Because for me, the real answer wasn't in the words I sent. It was in the moment I chose to walk away.